Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Matt from Rocky's War Room, and today I have my British Airborne 6-pounder anti-tank gun out. And the reason being is because we're going to try to make a more dynamic base for it using certain things that I have acquired across the modeling world. So the kit comes with one of these round bases like this, and they're great. They work. They, for the most part, fit the base. I believe this is a 50 millimeter base, something like that. But it kind of hangs over, and I'd have to glue it up here. I wouldn't be able to glue it to the base at any other spot. And to me, there's no room to put anything on the base itself, which I have used this in the past. I have put my anti-tank guns on them, and they work great for gameplay. With this gun right here is going to be placed on the table, and it's pretty much going to stay right where it's at for the most part. I imagine, because it's so big. So what we're going to do is we're going to make a more dynamic base for this. So we're going to get rid of this big round base, and you want to save this because you could use this for any of your other Warlord games. So what we want, essentially, is these three guys to fit onto the base and be able to put some really cool stuff on the base. And I thought of a perfect idea, and that is to take one of these things, these dinosaurs, which you call a CD. And look at the color spectrum, my goodness. So I'm going to take one of my old CDs, and the reason why I'm using that, it's perfectly round, which is fine. But if you look at that right there, where it's sitting, you can put much more of a dynamic diorama piece, and it still functions as a game piece. So we're going to use a CD and our value gear. And I have a couple reviews on value gear. The sandbags, I have sandbag review. I'll pop a link up here for that. But we have many options that we can use. So I was going through them, and I was like, wow, this looks really cool. It looks like a gun emplacement. But this one here, I thought, boy, that's perfect for my anti-tank gun. So I set it down on here just to double check it. And wouldn't you know, it fits perfectly. So it's not much of a sandbag, but it's not big. But I do have other options that might work. So I have this giant piece that also looks like you could put a gun there. And this is small, so we'll try a bigger one. And wouldn't you know it, it fits over the top right perfectly. And not only that, it follows the contour of the base. So what I could do is I could leave it back a little bit and maybe do some barbed wire or what have you up here, or I can put it right there on the edge and just put grass and stuff like that to create more room back here for my guys to settle in. My shell, this guy's loading a shell, and this guy here is watching him. And then you have your officer right up front here. So I think that's what I'm going to do. I think I'm going to be using this big one here to create a little bit more surface area to back here to do some of the boxes and the crates that come with value gear with more sandbags, as I can show you an example here. Get out my box of value gear goodies, and I think I have a few. There we go. So I have one of these that'd look perfect back here. It's on a crate. That's cool. And then I have some other crates. Oh, I think that would fit the 6-pounder shells in it. Yeah, so we'll put a crate back here. So as you can see, I'm adding definition to, I mean, I even got a camo net. Yeah, that's a big camo net that you could put in the back if you really wanted to. Just like this one. And all this stuff comes from Value Gear, which, you know, is pretty awesome. The company's really good. But, and this, all this adds to what I'm going for. So we'll put a little sandbag there, and we'll put this crate on top of that crate over here. And as you can see, it already has a dynamic look to it. So we'll take these boxes and these metal shells, and we'll put them on the side and off, you know, over here, just scattered about. These shells, boxes, I'll probably add with these boxes, and we'll put some more sandbags right here. But as you can see, we already have our diorama piece right here. So on a CD, and that takes up a bigger footprint, but in the end, I think that this piece, this bigger area looks more appropriate for this big artillery piece, so our anti-tank piece here. And anytime I play a game, I usually just set it there on the battlefield, and it never moves. It just shoots from where it's at. And when you want to pivot it, you can just move the base. We will be gluing that in there. So, what's the first step? So we're going to get rid of the anti-tank gun. We're going to come back to that. We have to fill this hole here. And the easiest way to fill that hole is with a piece of paper of some kind, or cardstock, or a piece of cardboard, and you just kind of glue it over the top here, because what you're essentially going to be doing is covering that up with some some gravel glue, that sort of thing. So you're not really going to notice it. It's so paper thin, you can just take a piece of the cardboard, which I'll grab right now. All right, so I just cut a piece of box that I had laying around, off of a box that I had laying around from a Gates of Antares box. So you're just going to glue it right over the top of that area. But first thing you need to do before I would do that is you need to rough up the surface. Now, the other side is the painted side. I'm going to use the shiny side. I'm trying to find my sandpaper. So I'm going to rough it up. Right now it's too smooth of a surface for anything to stick to it. So by doing this, you're creating grooves and holes for the glue to stick to. You want to get it real good. There we go. All right, there we go. So then I'm going to take my glue here, and we're going to glue this sucker down. So well, got a little bit overboard on it. That's okay. All we're really doing is filling that hole. And I'm going to use a little Insta-Set to let it set fast. I sprayed too much. So that'll set pretty quickly. I'll cover your glue. There we go. You wipe this off. All right. So now that it's starting to set there, yeah, it's starting to harden up. So that's why I say this is why I say use a piece of plastic card, because it's a lot thinner. You can actually use a thinner piece of cardboard because this sticks up pretty far. But when we put our miniature on there, it's going to be a rough surface anyway. So it still works and stays out of the way of the machine, of the anti-tank gun itself. So let's wipe this off. All right. So now we're going to place our sandbags. All right. So put glue on the sandbag. Now I want to do this in a way to where it's back just far enough to where I can get some flock on it. There we go. And then we'll place our gun. See if that works. Yes, it does. Works perfectly. So there we go. So that's on there. Now we're going to place our boxes and our extra stuff. And you can just place this randomly. I kind of like this right back here. I want this back here. Right there. And I'll put this box on top of that box. Right there. There we go. We're going to be painting all these. Okay. And just a little scatter sandbag there. Place right there. All right. So, we got that set in there. We're going to test her out here. So there we go. Artillery piece is on there. Looks good. These are all glued down. Awesome. This could be another firing position over here. And you don't have to glue this on here. You can actually use this as a piece of terrain as well. I'm specifically designing it to fit this here, but if I'm not playing the British Airborne, I'll be able to take this off and use this as a firing position. So it doubles as a piece of terrain and a base for my anti-tank gun. But we're focusing on a base for this machine right here. So, all right, I'm going to pick it up and show you guys what it looks like. As you can see, the value gear stuff is very, very nice. It's very detailed. It looks great. And that looks like an awesome firing position. Let's get it up here. There we go. So there you go. That looks cool. And we'll put, this is the leader. Awesome. Yes. So that's going to work. That's going to work really well. So we're going to add these as well. But I'm going to wait on the shells. I'm going to wait on the boxes to glue on until I have the grit down. And, well, no, you know what? I think well, yeah, I'm going to wait till that's all done. I want to paint these on the sprue. Because they're a lot easier to paint the guns or the shells on the sprue itself, I personally think. And then I'll cut them off and glue them on where they need to go. And then after that, it'll be a nice terrain piece / anti-tank position for either your 6-pounder or your 17-pounder, whatever you got. You can even use this with multiple different kinds of anti-tank weapons. And instead of using a base, that small round base, you have now something that gives you more immersion in your games. So I actually am going to be making probably about 4 or 5 of these. That way we'll have the ability to have 4 or 5 pieces of terrain just laying out there for firing positions, or you can take your anti-tank weapon and use it for the base for it. So, and that's why I individually base these guys. So they'll have a footprint. That way you'll have something to measure to. So there you go. That's glued together, and that's part 1. I really appreciate you guys watching this video. Again, part 2, I'm going to go over doing the gridding up and the painting of the sandbags and the crates, and maybe a little bit more. I'm not sure, but that's a good beginning. I need to let this glue dry and set for 24 hours, I think, before I start pouring flock and stuff like that. I'm actually probably not going to use a grit. I'm probably going to be using a Vallejo, what do they call that? The gridded paint, and some sort of, I'll prime it. And you guys will see in the video. I'll show you guys in the video. But that's part 1 of making a dioramic base for the 6-pounder, British Airborne 6-pounder. So thanks, guys, for sticking with me. If you haven't done so yet, join my Facebook group. It's Rocky's War Room Facebook group on Facebook. If you haven't subscribed, please do. Please tell a friend. Please spread the word. I'd really appreciate it. Like this video, leave me some comments, tell me what you think of this so far, and last but not least, from me to you, Ta-ta, and I'll catch you in my next video.